I'm here today with Isaac Castillo. Isaac, tell me about yourself for people who aren't familiar with you and your work yet.
Hi, Anne. Thanks for having me. Yeah, like you said, my name is Isaac Castillo, and I am the Director of Outcomes, Assessment, and Learning at Venture Philanthropy Partners, or you hear me refer to them as VPP often throughout our conversation. And I have been doing work in the evaluation and research and measurement space for over 2 decades now. Really focused on youth development and ensuring that programs that are delivered to youth across the United States are achieving successful and replicable outcomes for as many kids as possible.
What did you do before that in your prior 2 decades?
Sure. So immediately coming to VPP, I was the Director of Evaluation and the Deputy Director for the DC Promise Neighborhood Initiative, so one of 12 Promise neighborhoods within the United States. Prior to that, I worked at an organization called Child Trends, which is a research and evaluation organization in the Washington, D.C. area. Prior to that, I was a director of evaluation at the Latin American Youth Center, which is how you and I know each other. I was at LAYC for 7 years. And then before LAYC, I was working for a private research and evaluation firm for 7 years here in the DC area. Perhaps as important, though, before I began my evaluation career, I was a public speaker and debater. I was a high school debater and did a lot of public speaking and presentation, competitive public speaking, presentation, and debate in high school. I did it for 4 years in college. I was an All-American debater in college at Syracuse University. And then I taught public speaking and college debate for a couple of years to pay for my master's degree. So I've been doing a lot of speaking throughout my career, and I consider myself a communications and speaking person even before an evaluation person.
So that's what I want to talk to you about today is, and this is an unfair question because it's a really big question, but if you had to narrow it down to just one piece of public speaking advice, especially for researchers and evaluators, what would it be?
So I think the most common piece of advice I give to research and evaluation people is to prepare half as much content as you think you need, or to look at the amount of time you've been asked to present and speak. So for example, if you've been asked or given a block of time that's 30 minutes long, prepare content for 15 minutes. And that may feel like it's not enough, but trust me, there are several reasons why I recommend that someone does this. The first is people often don't have a good sense of how long it takes to deliver their content and how long their speaking styles result in the content being delivered, right? So you always take more time to present your information than you ever think you do. And that includes someone for myself. I mean, when I was doing debate and public speaking in high school, I even then I was struggling giving timed speeches. And now, it's probably taken about 1,000, maybe 1,200 different speeches and presentations for me to get good sense of pacing and how fast I can go. But most people haven't had that experience. And so you're always going to take longer than you think you're going to take, which is why I recommend that you prepare a little less content than you really think in your mind you need. The second reason I tell people to prepare less content is you don't want to seem rushed. Oftentimes we put like our most important stuff right at the very end. We have like this elaborate buildup to get to the content at the end. And when we get to like the really meaty stuff, we look down at the stopwatch or the clock and it's like, oh, I only have like 3 minutes left. And you kind of like rapidly rush through it. So if you prepare only half as much content as you need, you can take some time. You can go on some tangents if you feel like it's appropriate. You can answer questions in the midst of your presentation and you won't feel rushed. The third good thing about really limiting down your content to about half as much as what you think you need is it really forces you to pick out the most important points and really focus on the issues or the content you really want to drive home. And it forces you to get rid of stuff that may not necessarily be extraneous, but stuff that isn't as core or central to the couple points that you're trying to deliver. And so if you get to the point where you're like, I know I've got to cut stuff down, then it really forces you to focus on what are the truly important points I need to deliver as part of this presentation or speech.
I always try to think of, it's not that I'm cutting out that content forever and ever. I'm just not using it for this particular presentation, and maybe I'm using it for the next presentation.
Yeah. I have a really good friend who's a musician and a huge Beatles fan, and she always gave me a really good piece of advice, which is the Beatles intentionally wrote short songs to leave you wanting more. And so I've kind of like internalized that as well, which is, like you don't want to give it all away. You want to give enough to pique interest so that people will either ask good questions or follow up with you to kind of get additional information from you.
Awesome. That's such great advice. Isaac, where can people connect with you if they want to learn more?
Sure. The easiest place is on Twitter. I'm at Isaac_outcomes on my Twitter handle. I'm also on LinkedIn at Isaac D. Castillo. Those are the two best places to find me in terms of social media or wanting to follow up or reconnect with me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Isaac.
Thank you, Anne.